All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. There you have it. Stefon Diggs is going to be Drake May and the New England Patriots wide receiver one. They just agreed on a 3-year contract worth $69 million with only $26 million of that guaranteed. Now, I know Stefon Diggs is 31 years old and he's coming off that torn ACL in 2024 with the Houston Texans, only played 8 games, but I'm telling you, man, the Patriots needed somebody. They really did. And obviously, everybody's big target was T. Higgins. They end up throwing him the franchise tag. And then the big target began to be, Chris Godwin with Tampa Bay. He re-signs with Tampa. And then it's like, all right, Stefon Diggs, maybe the Patriots would bring in Amari Cooper. Don't really love it. But the Stefon Diggs move, I actually really do like. Last season and only 8 games played after tearing his ACL in a non-contact injury against the Colts in October. He played 8 games, finished with 47 catches, 496 yards, and 3 touchdowns on 64 targets. And this was actually his first sub 1,000-yard season since 2017. And obviously, it's because he only played 8 games. But, even going back 2 years ago in his last season with the Buffalo Bills, did very good. This is a guy with over 10,000 career receiving yards, and the point just stands. Drake May needed him. Drake May really did. And, I really like some of the pieces New England had already on their wide receiver room. Matt Collins also coming on over from Buffalo. I guess Stefon was with Houston last season, but they pick up Matt Collins, who I really like, especially with Josh McDaniels. He had a career year with Las Vegas a couple of years ago when he was the head coach there. And I like Kayshon Boutte. I like Demario Douglas. I like Kendrick Bourne. I like Jalen Polk. I like Javon Baker. But they still needed an established veteran. Hunter Henry led this team in receiving yards last season at the tight end position, and that just shouldn't be. As much as I love and appreciate Hunter Henry, especially on the New England Patriots last season, he shouldn't be leading the team in receiving yards. So, folks, welcome back to the channel. Obviously, we're talking about the New England Patriots. We do a couple of times a week, so hit that like button, hit that sub button if you haven't already. If we could try and get 500 likes on this video, that would mean the absolute world to me. I love what the Patriots are doing. I really do, and I think Stefon Diggs is the icing on the cake because here's the thing. We still have the draft. We still have the draft about a month away, and the Patriots, man, and we talked about this in our last video, you have to keep it in mind when you're looking at overpays, right? People hated so many of these contracts. Milton Williams, too much money. Harold Landry, too much money. Robert Spillane, Carlton Davis is getting $20 million a year. Stefon Diggs is on a $69 million contract for the next 3 years. The Patriots have won 8 games over the past 2 seasons. They haven't made the playoffs since 2021. They haven't won a playoff game, since Tom Brady took the knee in the Super Bowl. And this is now Mike Vrabel is their 3rd coach in 3 years. So you're trying to fix the weaknesses. You're trying to raise the floor. You're trying to get at least an average level of play from most of the positions that were just horrible last season. So when you look at the draft, they've got the 4th overall pick. They've got the 38th overall pick, 69, 77. So they have 2 third-rounders, and then they've got 106th overall in the 4th round. And obviously there's more draft picks past that. But, this is a big-time move because, like I said, even though I like the wide receiver room and I like the tight end room for New England, still need a running back, by the way, but they still need a left tackle, by the way. I know it's not all perfect yet just because they picked up Stefon Diggs and had a couple of nice moves in free agency, but the point still stands, man. They needed a veteran. They needed a savvy veteran for Drake May coming off a really intriguing rookie season, starting the second half of that season. So, a lot of these moves you saw were on the defensive side. Carlton Davis, Robert Spillane, Milton Williams, Harold Landry, Clavon Tyson. I love them all. I really do. And like I said, I don't care if some of these might be a slight overpay. If Stefon Diggs' contract's a little bit too big for you, really was necessary. So let's see. Who do you guys want to talk about? Staying with the offense, the left tackle, we'll talk about the draft in a couple of weeks. Let's just save that for the draft. One of my favorite moves that the New England Patriots made this past offseason or this past couple of weeks was Carlton Davis. And like I said, I know the contract's high, 3 years, $60 million contract, but when you look at the defense now, first off, they just picked up a bunch of starters. I know they lost some guys, but they just picked up a bunch of starters in free agency. Just the simple idea of Carlton Davis being cornerback number 2 because of Christian Gonzalez is terrifying. Christian Gonzalez, Patriots fans know about him, right? But most people weren't watching the New England Patriots play football last season. 2023 first round pick. He held opponents to a 55% completion rate last season and only a 71.7 passer rating. So, Christian Gonzalez is clearly a lockdown stud cornerback, and he's probably going to cement his star status this upcoming season. But the point is, you're pairing Carlton Davis with Christian Gonzalez. I mean, it's just insane. I mean, it really is. And Carlton, I know the one issue is health. The one issue is health. It's just, can he play 15 games in regular season? Can he go over 13? Carlton Davis allowed a quarterback rating of just 77.1 when targeted last year. So now you can't just throw away from Christian Gonzalez, right? Teams did that all the time. Just throw away from Christian Gonzalez. Carlton Davis is so rock solid. He's coming off just 1 year in Detroit. Prior to that, he was with Tampa Bay Buccaneers. They traded him to Detroit this time last season, and he has not posted a PFF coverage grade below 60 since his rookie season, all the way back in 2018. He's also really good against the run, earned a 77.7 PFF run defensive grade in 2024. So, I mean, I think people will figure this out in spring training. Sorry, I just went to a spring training game here in Florida. I think people will understand this in preseason if we ever see like snaps of Carlton Davis and Christian Gonzalez paired up together, or you're going to see it in like the hype stuff in June. It's like an ESPN post in June, and they're going through like cornerback duos in the NFL, and people are going to be like, wait, the Patriots have Carlton Davis and Christian Gonzalez? Like, hold on, wait a second. That's kind of crazy. So I loved that move. And then even like the offensive line's another big emphasis that you're going to see hopefully prioritized in the draft. This team desperately needs a left tackle, like really badly. But even on free agency, I know it was the other side, but Morgan Moses coming over on a 3-year, $24 million contract, really good value, only $8 million a season. And he just is going to really help Drake May's right side. Moses did have a few bad games with the New York Jets last season, but he still finished with a 69.2 PFF pass blocking grade, and he's posted a grade above 865 in every season since 2015. So I know the contract, you see that for an older offensive tackle and you're thinking, I don't really love it. Kind of seems like a quick fix. It just, they needed to give players money. They needed to slightly overpay for Carlton Davis. They needed to overpay slightly for Morgan Moses because this team is so much more competitive than they were last season. And the addition of Stefon Diggs is going to go a very long way for Drake May's development. Even if Stefon Diggs isn't posting, a 1,300 reception yard season next year and 13 touchdowns, this is huge for Drake May. And that's really the only important thing moving forward for the Patriots. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. Hit that like button, hit that sub button for more, and we'll see you soon. But guys, give me the grade on the Stefon Diggs signing down below. Peace.